built a tower to the sun, brick and rivet and lime. Once I built a tower, now it's done. Brother, can you spare a dime?
The stock market crash of 1929 marked the beginning of the Great Depression, a time of economic and social chaos following the roar of the 1920s. In 1928, Calvin Coolidge did not seek re-election. Instead, Republican candidate Herbert Hoover became the president at the start of the greatest economic disaster in U.S. history. The Depression hurt everyone, rich and poor, farmer and factory worker, America, and the world. Herbert Hoover supported capitalism and believed the economic crisis was only temporary. He took a conservative stance at first, refusing to use government funds to help. He instead supported the use of charities and soup kitchens. He believed people should volunteer to help out neighbors and provide relief or aid to the needy. By 1931, Hoover finally gave in and began to use government money. In 1931, public works projects, which were federally funded, began to put people back to work. These projects included highways, parks, and libraries. The Hoover Dam in Nevada was also started in 1931. Despite federal funding, Hoover pushed for localism, a policy which said economic problems should be solved at the state and local level. Hoover also believed in trickle-down economics. This theory states that if the government gives money to the rich business owners, they will invest it, expand production, and hire more workers, putting people to work. However, the business owners, fearing more loss, pocketed the funds from the government. President Herbert Hoover also had to address problems with World War I veterans. In 1924, Congress had agreed to pay all the veterans a bonus for their service during the war. These bonuses would be paid by 1945. Due to the Depression, though, servicemen wanted their money immediately. In 1932, the veterans, who earned the name the Bonus Army, marched on Washington, D.C. to protest. In response, Hoover used the National Guard to end the protests. The Depression increased homelessness. Desperate for shelter, the poor began to build shantytowns outside of major cities. These shantytowns began to be called Hoovervilles and served as a symbol of Hoover's terrible economic policies. The 1930s forced a change of life for farmers as well. Rapid expansion west due to the Homestead Act and the railroad, along with the development of new farm technologies, led to over-farming. In 1931, a severe drought hit the Midwest. Along with strong winds, loosened soil on the farms was carried hundreds of miles. The storms were called black blizzards, as blowing dirt reduced visibility. These storms were known countrywide as the Dust Bowl. The dirt buried farms and towns. Farmers, already struggling, went bankrupt. Farmers throughout the 1930s sold farms and migrated west in search of new opportunities. By 1932, the economy had not improved. Hoover ran for re-election, promoting a safe option. His competition was a man from New York, Democrat Franklin D. Roosevelt. Roosevelt promised a New Deal for the American people. His confidence and lack of details for recovery helped him win the election of 1932. Promoting optimism for the country, Roosevelt won in a landslide victory. At his inauguration, Roosevelt helped to reassure the American people.
This great nation will endure as it has endured. So first of all, let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
The New Deal would have a tremendous impact on America's recovery.